1990, I drove to Stonehenge on my way to Glastonbury from Guildford, and it was just I was just making a home video. When I got to Stonehenge, I was filming the stones and the mounds around Stonehenge. These mounds particularly interested me because they thought that they were burial mounds. They never found any bones or relics inside of these mounds, so they really don't know quite what they were. One of my theories on what they were was that maybe a long time ago something landed and the natives or the Stone Age people emulated what these craft may have looked like by building these huge mounds around Stonehenge. While I was filming this just for my home video, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon and a light appeared in the sky. Now, I've been to Stonehenge many times at night and seen many strange lights flying around the sky, these amber-coloured lights, which the locals call amber gamblers. But never seen anything during the daytime. But on the piece of footage you're about to see, it was just how I captured it, as this light dropped out of a cloud and moved quite strangely in the air. People were around me wondering what I was filming and couldn't see it, but fortunately enough, the film captured it.
Did you film anything else that was a contrast to what it might have been or what it could have been?
I was able to see a helicopter from a distance flying by at very low altitude, which I was able to film. It had a strobe light on it as well. Remember, this is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the piece of footage of the helicopter, you can see, when you compare the light that I saw with the helicopter, they're absolutely no comparison. Well, I've never been able to see anything like this before in daylight, these lights, and that one appeared twice in the same place. We're very lucky. There it is again.
This is the voice of Dr. Fred Bell. I'll be speaking with Bob Schott. And this amazing evidence came up during the editing portion of this series. And we're going to see a master ship here. And we're also going to see, if you're very careful, the actual energies that make the crop circles. And later on in the video, what you're going to see is some of the crop circles, and I'm going to interpret some of them. The Andromedans have already come into our lives while we were making this tape series, and they have given us a tremendous amount of information. So now I'm going to turn this over to Bob Schott at the first part here, because he was one of the first chief editors to notice the additional phenomenon. And watch the grass. There's things going on in the grass. There's things going off on the hill on the right. There's a lot of things happening. We're editing this frame by frame. David Tickle used a very high-quality Sony camera to do this. And if you look at the top right now, there's ships moving around on the top. Look at that streak right there, for example. Now I'm going to turn this over to Bob. That was one frame as a ship went through the frame.
When we first edited this, there was about a 15-second regular running speed. You could only see one beam ship in the distance. Looked like about, half a mile away. Then you could see two objects come from the lower right of the screen, which would go at about a 45-degree angle up. Now, the object that is blinking in and out you're seeing this only because what we did was stopped it and frame by framed it. There are 30 frames per second in the video. So by framing a frame by frame portions of this, you can see the objects as they occur. At the top of the screen, you can see it blinking in and out. And at that kind of a distance, you're talking at a tremendous rate of speed. And you will see, at the lower portions of it, you will see objects coming from the mound that's over at the mid-center to the right of the screen. And over by the clump of trees to the left, you will see objects coming up shortly. There seems to be one beam ship which hasn't been presented for computer analysis yet, but it looks to be like a control of some sort. Whatever that object would be, it would be controlling. You'll see this coming up to where the ship will flash, and up to the upper right of the screen, you will see another object blinking in and out as the other one blinks. And we have counted over 6 different objects coming out of this frame-by-frame sequence that you're looking at now. As I say, there are 30 frames per second, and to the human eye, you cannot see these unless we did stop it and frame-by-frame it. So this is why it's taking so long. But the tremendous rate of speed, 122 miles an hour, will split frames on a video, but that's only provided if it's at screen distance. These objects appeared to be a half a mile or so, or possibly more in the distance. This was presented to us by David Tickle, and when we got it, we stopped it, and we spent about 5 or 6 hours examining all the evidence that's in here. We do want to send this for computer analysis. Now, if you'll look down to the center of the frame, down in the clump of trees and the hills off to the distance, you'll see what looks like 3 objects coming out of it that is resting there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this back over to Fred, because this will continue to run, and keep your eyes on the upper left-hand portion of the screen right there. You just saw an object blink in. Okay, it will be at about 11 o'clock. Now, if on your home VCRs, you can back this up and you can do it yourself. Now, the object is at noon. You have to watch this very carefully. You want to watch the upper 90% of the screen, and you want to watch the hill to the right. Now there's one in the center. Just keep your eyes on the screen. Perhaps you may see something that we didn't see, and we invite any comments that you have. We welcome any comments that anybody has on any viewpoints of what they're watching here that maybe is something that we didn't pick up when we're watching this. Okay, there was one that blinked out at about noon. Now those 3 objects, there was one that blinked out at the hills in the foreground. There's a little V over there at the foreground to the left. Okay, now there's some action down in the mound over by the left center, and there's one coming across the screen right now from right to left. It's going up at about 45-degree angle, and it just went out to the top of the screen. These objects continue to hover around this particular area. And you will see shortly a lot better what I call the control ship, because it seems to hover over the upper 80% to the left of the screen. After a few minutes, you'll see it. Now, there's one over to the right at about 1 o'clock at the top 90% of the screen. You will probably want to rewind this several times and watch this. There are some very interesting things. Coming up towards the end of it, it gets a little bit more active. You will also see, because this was not broadcast quality equipment, this was not a Betacam, or it was not Ikigami 3/4 inch, it was on a high quality Sony commercial usage. So that now you're seeing what we call a control ship. Now, if you look up to the upper left of that on occasion and over at about 2 o'clock, you'll see objects blinking in and out. You see this object blinking? As it blinks out, pretty soon you'll see another object blink in. We don't know what the significance of that is. All we can do is speculate. And right at this point, I don't want to speculate on why that's happening. It's not a balloon. There was another one at about 11 o'clock. Notice it is blinking in and out, meaning this is, as you're watching this, keep in mind, this is very important. You are watching this frame by frame, meaning 30 seconds, 30 frames per second. Now, there's one directly above it that just blinked in and out. So that for this to blink in and out and become invisible, or whatever this object is doing, it has to be doing it at a tremendous rate of speed, and there has to be some tremendous amount of energy involved here. Notice it blinking in and out. Now, you may not be able to see it on your copy, but above it, there's an object that's barely blinking in and out of it. It may be at a greater distance. And also off at 10 o'clock, one occurred. Now one at 12, going off to the right of the screen. Now there's one at 11 o'clock of the object. Keep this, the There's one at 1 o'clock of the control object. Now it's at about 1:30 of it. Now it's going directly horizontal across the screen. These are not video noise signals. These are not special effects. We do not, at this point in time, know exactly what is causing this. We do know that it's not natural. It's not an object that we have. It's not anything that the government has created. We don't have any objects that can do that to our knowledge. Now there's one over at the center. Keep your eyes peeled on the 90% portion of the screen from left to right, and over to the right of your screen now, coming very quickly. See it jumping? It has jumped. The distance that it has jumped, you're talking a half a mile in the background, is a tremendous rate of speed for the distance it's jumping at. It is blinking in and out, which means it's either blinking in and out or it's splitting the video, either one. Since we don't know the exact distance of the object yet because it hasn't gone through computer analysis, it's very difficult for us to give you a precise readout of this. The reason you're getting it now is because we wanted to include this. This was one of the delays on getting this tape to you. We knew that you would want to see this exclusive footage. This has never been before seen. There are no photographs of this. This has not been shown on the news as of we speak. So you are looking at something that has originally been presented to us immediately. Now, if you look at the field, you're going to have to look quickly. There will be some video noise in the field from duplication, but there are objects on our initial analysis and run-through of this that will come from the field, and they will go from the lower 25% portion of your screen, which would be in about the midfield, up to the upper left of the screen. Keep your eye on the control ship. Now over to the right, there's an object. See the object blinking in and out at about 2 o'clock of the control ship. Now the control ship is completely blinked out. Now it's back on again. Now the other ship is on at about 2 o'clock. Now, like I say, that could be one of two things. Either it is blinking in and out. Fred has a much better description. He suggested possibly, as the Area 51 footage that you'll be seeing, an interdimensional possibility, or it is skipping the video, which means if it is skipping it on a frame-by-frame slowdown, it's really traveling at a tremendous rate of speed. There will be objects coming up from the foreground shortly. I'm going to turn this back over to Fred now, because he'll have a few comments.
You're going to probably wind this back and forth, because even while we edit it, it moves so fast that every time we look at it, we find something else. And we'll have 2 or 3 people in the editing room, and they'll all see something else. Now, when it comes time to understand how these crop circles are being made, there's a couple birds flying across now, and they're fairly close. If you look, when you rewind it, you look at the very beginning, you'll see the birds fly across and how quick they were. And they were very close in the foreground, but when you watch it live, realize this is taking almost 10 minutes to edit slow, and it only took about 30 seconds to film it. So we're stretching into 30 seconds, 10 minutes of video events. As a contactee, I've learned to see things in the sky with my naked eye that most people would never see. It's a matter of training. For example, if you were to close your eyes and suddenly, remember all the blue objects in a room, and just close your eyes and remember all the blue objects in a room, and then try to hold that in memory, and then open your eyes up, and then close them again, and then open them up again and try to remember all the brown objects in the room, and then open them up again, and then close them again. Here comes the field object now. First one, it's on the right. It just came off the hill. It's right in the middle of the screen. This, we believe, is a smaller object, and it probably moves through the grass, and it knocks it down to make these things. It's moving back and forth, as you can see it. It's coming over now, and it's starting to lift up, and one is taking off in the middle of the screen behind the trees. One is up. There's 3 objects there. If you see the one coming through the trees, it's halfway up through the trees now. It's coming up almost to the top of the trees, and now it's lifting up. Yeah, now what we did now is we reversed it for a second, and we're holding it. We've frozen it, and we're reversing it back and forth so you can see it better. So you can see 3 objects. They're going back and forth in the frame reversal. Now we're moving forward again with it, and you can see them lifting off and coming into the sky. You can see one of them disappear, reappear, another one comes up, and now a third one is coming up from the tops of the trees. The control ship blinks in and out, and usually when it's out, the other objects are brighter. When it's in, they're dimmer, so it has some control over it. And they're lifting up now. Now we reversed it one more time for clarity. This, we think, is some of the hottest footage in the world. You may want to go back and rewind it because those objects that you see in the sky now started, between where the trees hits the mound. Now realize this is the Salisbury Plain in England. It's a very famous place. It's full of energy ley lines. Very famous place. One of the most powerful vortexes of ley lines in the world. And it might be the possibility that these vortexes are being used by these craft as part of their propulsion systems. These vortexes have tremendous healing powers, and they have temples and churches built all across England, and it's quite common knowledge in England about these forces. They've been measured. They have a pulse rate of about 4 pulses per second. There's another ship in the sky. So these ley lines are pulsing about 4 or 5 times per second. And they can be measured by dowsing and other types of equipment now. More activity in the sky. There's a tremendous amount of activity in this. And we've had certain scientists look at it. It's baffled them very much. And it's being submitted now to some people in England to further their analysis of the crop circles. Now, just in a minute, you're going to see the objects in the grass. They're very small and extremely fast. That's what we're waiting for now. There goes one. It just went through. I think I remember I rewound it, and there it goes again. It's right in the center. It's a white object. Back and forth. You can see it move to the right and then to the left. About 30% of the screen is left when it goes back. I reversed it a couple of times to show that. Yeah, there it is again. Now it's frozen. And now it's frozen and moving back and forth. We're reversing it back and forth to show you what's there. That's 1 frame difference. We're reversing it back and forth. We have a device on our tape recorder, on our editing deck that you can turn. It's a knob. So it's very easy to control this. This is definitely not a glitch on the film. It is an object that was very close to David, moving at extreme high speeds that he didn't even see because he was looking up in the sky. And this object, we believe, is controlled from the ship in the sky and is responsible for the pushing down of the grass and the maneuvering of the artwork in the circles.